Right, ready when you are.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of the 72 review. You'll notice that we're one member down. We're not sure why he's not here. He might not be here because of the result against Plymouth midweek. He's not wanting the grief from ATID in the comments, but I am joined with by the normal co-commentator, Ian Bradley. For people who may not know you, Ian, tell us what you're all about.
I don't know about normal so much, but I'm Ian. I'm a 60-year-old Rotherham season ticket holder. Been supporting the Millers for about 50 years, and also I do the occasional vlog for Over the Bar. Get it right. YouTube channel. I did one for yesterday's Doncaster Rovers Leyton Orient game, but it's not been put up on YouTube yet.
Soon as it is, I will link it at the end of mine as well. It was tongue-in-cheek with Jake. We've got ATID already in the chat. Saying Sheffield had 12 men and we still got the 3 points. Jake unfortunately couldn't make us. Punk Chef 41, his link is in the description down below. He will be back next week. He's just got family commitments this week, so he can't make it. He's not avoiding the chat about the midweek fixture. But from conversations that we've had during the week, he was frustrated with Darren Moore's tactical decision to pull players off. And he said really that the best team won on the night, but we will have a look at those fixtures. But what we're going to do, as always, we'll go through all the leagues. We'll pick 3 or 4 games in each division, have a little chat about them, and then show the table at the end. We have midweek games as well, so we're going to start in the Championship, drop down to League 2, and then we'll finish with League 1 this week. As always, get your comments in and we'll try and go through as many as possible. Obviously, with only me and Ian talking today, we may be able to get through a few more. So get a few questions in and we'll get them answered as well. But we will make a start and we'll try and get this in around 45 minutes. We say it every week and we end up going up to an hour because we just like talking football, don't we, Ian?
We do. Yeah, pretty frustrating sometimes, but yeah, we do. I'll rattle about football all day.
So we'll get the Championship fixtures and results going up along the bottom of the screen. That's midweek fixtures and results and weekend fixtures and results as well. But as we always do, we only talk about our teams during the midweek. So obviously the results are going up for your teams along the bottom of the screen. So Rotherham 1, Millwall 1. We had a little bit of a chat about this yesterday, Ian. It's a point gained, isn't it?
Definitely a point gained, especially given Rotherham's second half performance, which were really poor. We took the lead very early on through a Daniel Barlaser penalty when Ben Wiles got brought down by Jake Cooper. I think it was a definite penalty. Barlaser took the kick. The keeper really should have saved it, but he sort of like fumbled it and it just fell in the bottom corner. At that time, Rotherham were well on top, and for about 20-25 minutes, we had other chances. Not clear-cut, but, like half chances. But Millwall started to come into the game and Fleming equalised with an absolute worldie. There were no closing down on the edge of the box. He just hit one that screamed past Johansson. Nothing any keeper could have done about that. So, half-time 1-1, pretty fair result, really. Second half, Millwall came at us virtually constantly. I thought our back line performed admirably, but they still had some really gilt-edged chances. Johansson tipped one onto the bar from Fleming again, and Bradshaw missed what I could say is an absolute sitter, Tom Bradshaw. So we were lucky to get away with a point, but definitely a point gained, yeah.
Which is all you can ask for at this stage of the season, obviously.
Yeah.
New manager coming in. How's he fared so far? Are you happy with the appointment, and do you think he's got enough to continue your good start to the season?
I'm happy with the appointment, and I think given time, which I think he will get because he signed a 4-year contract, I think it might take him some time to adjust the way we play because we play with a rigid 3-5-2 at the moment. We have got the personnel to change it because we've got both right and left back specialists. So if we could change to a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2, we could do. The only problem I've got at the moment is the lack of firepower. We've got Connor Washington, who's only scored once this season so far. We've got Chio Ogbeni, who really is a winger, but they're playing him up front. Tom Eaves made his first start yesterday and did fairly well. We've also got Georgie Kelly that's virtually rooted to the bench at the moment, and Taylor's not given him a chance yet. But he's got a week until our next fixture against Huddersfield to sort of assess his squad properly, because he only came in at the back end of last week. So, early part of last week. So he had Wednesday virtually straight away, a game day, and obviously Saturday's game at Blackburn. So he's got a week to really properly assess his team and possibly formation for next Saturday. So I am.
It's not had time to blink yet, has he? Since being appointed, like you say, two games in quick succession, and now a full week off to, like you say, assess his squad and hopefully instill his tactics and kind of philosophy on the players that you've got. And you never know, you might see changes in the way that you play.
Yeah, no.
ATID, just mentioning the Wednesday Plymouth game, taking Bannon off killed them. They had us on toast. Once Bannon came off, the ref took his Wednesday shirt off, and Sam Cosgrove is better than Haaland. Big words. Haaland is an absolute monster. So
he only scored one yesterday, though.
Yeah, poor form from Haaland yesterday. So moving on to this weekend's fixtures in the Championship, we'll get Blackburn 3, Rotherham 0 out of the way. Tough place to go, really, isn't it? Especially if Brereton Diaz is on form.
Oh, he's a class above the Championship. He should really be playing in the Premier League. Yeah. As it sounds, because I was at Donny yesterday with you, but for the way it sounded, we were well in the game up until half time. We had a reasonable penalty claim turned down. Eves hit the post. We had one or two more reasonably good chances. And then Blackburn got the penalty and the game turned. In the second half, we sort of we just went away from the tactics, and it was really damage. After the second goal went in, it was damage limitation. We're probably pretty lucky to get away with a 3-0 defeat. But Blackburn are a good side, and especially at Ewood Park. So no surprises. We'll take it on the chin and go again next Saturday.
Yeah, big game, like you say, coming up against Huddersfield. We'll have a look at the table in a bit. I think you're far enough away from the wrong end of the table not to be getting worried yet, but you want points on the board as soon as possible, don't you?
Yeah, true enough. And losing becomes a habit, same as winning does. So, we need to get another win on the board pretty quickly.
Yeah, even if it's one of those seasons, Ian, where you become consistently inconsistent, where you win a game, draw a game, lose a game, that's enough, isn't it? Surely, for the first season back in.
Yeah, definitely. So long as we can finish
consistently inconsistent.
Yeah. Yeah. If we can finish 20th or above, it'll have been a successful season. And I'm a realist. I mean, I'm not like our chairman that dreams of the Premier League, because it's never going to happen. So, I'm a realist. If we can stay in the Championship, that's probably the sum total of our ambitions.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, definitely. Liam Martin in the chat, we will get to League One shortly, but he said a great win for us against Accrington, a 3-0 win. We fully deserved it all. Our strikers scored, which is nice to see. We're looking brilliant at home park this season. Our home form is way too good. Definitely agree with that. My question for ATID and Liam Martin, though, is we've seen it before. Fantastic start from Plymouth and then tailing off. Do you think that's going to happen this season? Or do you think you've got the staying power to keep pushing that top end of League One? So there's a question for you. Get your answer in the comments below. We will move on to Norwich against Preston. this was a bit of a surprise result for me because Preston came into this one with a fantastic defensive record of only conceding 4 goals in 12 games, I think it was. But they've only scored 4 as well. And then they come up against a decent Norwich team and score 3 in one game. Bit of a potential coupon buster. There was many of those this weekend where teams that you thought were going to win didn't. And this for me is one of those. I mean, Norwich started superbly 2 minutes in, going 1-0 up, and you thought they're going to go on and win this. But then Jacobson, a very, very good player at this level, he got a brace, which put Preston in front, and then kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit. You've got Sarah on the 76th minute getting the equaliser, but then Troy Parrott popping up on the 80th minute with a decent finish to make it 3-2. Any thoughts on this one, Ian?
Well, to have 38% possession and win and score 3 goals away from home, that's efficiency personified, really. Fantastic result for Preston. I think they've probably doubled the goals tally in that one game.
Pretty much, yeah.
I think they'd only scored 3 in the league before yesterday. To go to Carrow Road and win, to go to Carrow Road and win, that's a fantastic result for them. Very strong side at this level. Established championship outfit, and certainly not to be underestimated. It's probably a little bit of a blip for Norwich. But they're too good to let it bother them. Big style. They'll still be in the top 3 or 4 in the league because they are a very good championship side. Probably not a brilliant Premier League side, but a good championship side.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Just a quick one before we move on from Norwich against Preston. I don't know if you saw the challenge from Byram. For me, he should have walked. I think it was a dangerous challenge. We will talk about some other challenges that happened in a different league later on. But for me, that one should have been a straight red, and I think he's got away with one there. Do you?
I do, yeah. It was definitely a straight red, and I think the referee bottled it.
Yeah.
But as it turned out, it didn't really make that much difference to the result.
No, but it could have been one of those frustrating ones where they've got back into the game on the 76th minute and it's 2 points lost for Preston when they could have had a considerable amount of the game playing against 10. But like you say, didn't really have any impact on the result come the end of it. I've got an answer for a couple from ATID. He's a little worried, too many loans, but if we get at least 3 of them permanently, then we will be fine. If not, back to square one as always. Liam Martin has said that I think we've got the staying power to stay at the top. And the pressure is all on the team below us. We have a very good run up to Wickham at home. If we keep winning big games, I see us going up. And then he said, yes. Neil Hare got his first license off a cereal box, never too red. So that's to do with the 50-50 challenge in their game, which we'll talk about shortly. You wanted to touch on a very good win for Blackpool, 3-1 at home to Watford. Gary Medine on the score sheet and Jerry Yates with a brace, and that's first couple of goals in a long time for Jerry Yates, isn't it? Have I lost Ian? Are you with me? I think I've lost Ian. I'm sure he'll be back shortly. Yes, I have. So in this one, Ian wanted to talk about Blackpool against Watford. He was impressed with Jerry Yates in this one. A quick brace, and his second goal was absolutely superb. Quick feet, great finish. Amadeus Medine sound the klaxon. Unfortunately, Jake can't make this evening. He's the one with all of the tools to get the klaxon going in the Green Army, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully Ian will come back. But yeah, great result for Blackpool. I think he is coming. Give me a second. He's backstage at the minute. We'll get this sorted out. Technical difficulties on this one. So I will move on to a game that I wanted to talk about, Swansea against Sunderland. And for me, Swansea have staying in the playoffs with this result against Sunderland, where for me, Sunderland's form starting to stutter. We have got Ian back. Are you back with us, Ian? I think he is. Say hello if you can hear us. Poor lad's having some issues at the minute. You okay, Ian?
Dan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
So it's gone to shit.
Can you hear us, Ian?
Oh, I'm back. I can hear you now.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah.
There we go. Couple of technical difficulties, but we're there. Yeah. All good, Ian. All good. We will keep plowing through.
Okay, cheers.
You wanted to talk about Blackpool against Watford, so the floor is yours, mate.
Yeah. Watford, Bilic has got a job there. He's got a really hard job to... They've got a really talented squad at Watford, but they don't seem to be in any sort of direction. Blackpool beat them pretty comfortably. Medine scored early on, and then he got with a really good free kick. But then Jerry Yates took over, ex-Miller, Claxton alert, and scored 2 cracking goals. I mean, really well-finished goals, the pair of them. And it looks like Blackpool run away comfortable winners. It was a surprising result, that, really. But they were very, very on the day.
Definitely, I'd agree with that. I think Jerry Yates' second goal was absolutely superb. So moving on to Swansea against Sunderland, I was saying that Swansea staying in the playoffs at the minute, and Sunderland's form starting to stutter a little bit.
Yeah.
1 win in 6. Fairly sloppy from Sunderland early on. Gifted a goal to Swansea on the 13th minute. But good football for the first and second, in fairness. Sunderland did bring it back on the 51st minute, but they just couldn't quite pull it back for the full game. And I think that is... did have it written down. 1 win in 6 for Sunderland at the minute. You okay, Ian?
No, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I can't hear you. I think my headphones have gone. If you can hear me on the, we know, fine.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. It's all good. As long as you can hear me, mate, we're all right, because we can hear you.
Right, okay. I can hear you, but it keeps going off and on, you know.
We will stumble through. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So you wanted to talk about Huddersfield against Hull City. So we'll finish the championship on this one, mate.
Yeah, problems, obviously. They had a good win against Wigan in midweek, which would surprise me, really, considering Wigan's away form. Huddersfield really were... the form were really poor. But, yeah, a good win for Huddersfield and a much-needed one for the new manager there. And it, again... looked like an evenish sort of game, but Huddersfield got the breaks and got the goals. And they're at New York Stadium next Saturday, so it's a potential 6-pointer. But yeah, a very good win for Huddersfield.
Yeah, definitely. So let us have a look at the championship table before we move on to League Two. So we'll start at the bottom of the table. Coventry, I'd say this is a bit of a false position in the table for those. Obviously, they've got 2 or 3 games to catch up on teams above them. 7 points from 10 games. I think they'll start to climb the table in the next couple of weeks when these games in hand start getting played and the level with other teams in the league. I think they'll start to climb. Worries for Huddersfield, West Brom as well. I'm surprised that Steve Bruce is still there at the moment. Middlesbrough just outside of the drop with Hull City as well. And that win for Blackpool just shows the importance of it, pulling them up to 15 points and giving them a little bit of breathing space from that bottom three. Rotherham, 17th on 15 points. And like I say, you've got breathing space here in between yourself and the bottom three. But this game coming up next weekend is massive, isn't it?
Definitely. Because if we can, I mean, I think our ambition has got to be to stop out of the bottom three before the World Cup starts. And I think we've got the winnable games there to do it, but it's going to be very difficult. And like I said before, losing becomes a habit same as winning does. And we've lost 2 of the last 3 and not really looked in games in the second half, if you know what I mean. We seem to fall away a lot in the second half. So, yeah, Matt Taylor's got a lot to work on there.
Yeah, so, falling away in the second half is not typically Rotherham, though, is it? Especially when you were under Paul Warne, the fitness and just the ability to keep on going was always there as a Rotherham from a Rotherham team. Well, that's what I kind of expected whenever we play Rotherham, that you were just going to be relentless for 90 minutes. So to hear that you're falling off in the last 45 is not very typical of a Rotherham team that I'm used to.
No, it's quite worrying, really.
Yeah. Hopefully it's just a blip, and the form from early on in the season returns. But looking at the top of the table, Sheffield United still holding on to that top spot after a couple of difficult results. I believe they've drawn 1 and lost 2 out of their last 3, and that shows the position that they were in before this last week or so. Norwich now on joint points in second, and then the playoffs are made up of QPR, who are having a decent start to the season on the same points as Norwich and Sheffield United. Burnley, Reading and Swansea make up the remaining top 6. So the tables are taking shape. Moving on to League 2. Let's get those running across the bottom. As always, the midweek results are on the bottom of the screen, and weekend results are coming across as well. Amadeus is feeling for you, Ian. You're having a nightmare, but it seems like the connection's improved. So I think we've sorted it. We're all right.
I've jettisoned the headphones, so I think we should be okay for the rest of the time.
What nearly had me, mate, when you just turned to your missus and said it's gone to shit.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't be on YouTube, but there you go.
Yeah. Don't worry about it; it's live. Yeah. We're a family-friendly channel, apart from on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And Amadeus is also saying, "Boo, Blades probably cheating."
Oh, come on.
So we will start with the negative for Doncaster Rovers and this result. I didn't go to the game, but my dad did, and the fallout from social media was clear for a lot to see. Very poor performance. Hartlepool had not won a game in 20. We go up there. Obviously, they've got a new manager, Keith Curl. I think that's had a slight impact on the result. He got a draw in his first game, and then obviously a win against us. But then Hartlepool returned to form and get beat this weekend. But Josh Umera, it was one who I said was one to watch. A decent finish to make it 1-0, but we were just not in the game apparently. The second half we improved, but this is the question marks over Gary McSheffrey at the minute. Tactically, does he set his teams up right to begin with? He's making far too many changes at half time, changing shape and then getting back into games. We can't be chasing games every single time that we come onto the pitch. But Bobby Faulkner, 18 years old, he can hold his head up high. He was the one player apparently who actually showed a bit of passion, a bit of desire. And from an 18-year-old, you want to see that from your more experienced professionals on the pitch, and we're not getting it at the minute. Harrison Biggins got moved to right back. A rush of blood. He tried to stop the pass, and Wes McDonald's gone through his good feet. His defence has made it far too simple, to be fair. Roshan Williams stood like a statue. He's let him just kind of ghost past him and fire one into the keeper's bottom right-hand corner. And on the 85th minute, we just didn't have enough to pull it around. And that result put a lot of pressure on McSheffrey. I wanted 7 or 9 points with improved performances from the last 3 games, and we got 6, and the performances were poor. I mean, you were there yesterday, Ian. The fans were behind the team until it went to 1-0, and then it was, well, I couldn't tell if the South Stand wanted McSheffrey in or out, to be fair. It was like the okie dokie. But it quickly turned toxic at times, and I'm struggling at this point. I think performances haven't improved from a Rovers point of view. I don't think that's purely down to McSheffrey, to be fair. I'd sooner him have a bit of time. I think it just needs a little bit more time. I think we've seen with other managers around the country, if they're given time and given a couple of maybe 2 or 3 transfer windows, they can actually build something. I think he just needs to start getting the performance that we saw in the second half yesterday consistently. And if we get that performance level, the fans will get off his back. But at the minute, it just seems like sometimes the players aren't playing for him. And when players don't play for a manager, it's difficult to continue backing them up. I mean, you've never really gone through that with Warney, have you? I think the players have always played for him.
No, I haven't gone through it with Warney, but I've gone through it with previous Rotherham managers. And to be honest, I mean, I thought the reaction of the South Stand yesterday were bordering on embarrassing, really, because for about 40 minutes they were shouting, singing Gary McSheffrey, get out of our club. And then, as soon as Harrison Biggins equalised, which was a surprise at the time, it was Gary McSheffrey's Red and White Army. Make your minds up. Yeah. It was quite embarrassing. But as far as the managerial situation going, I think sacking McSheffrey would be the wrong thing to do. I honestly do, because I think a manager, like you said, he's had one transfer window, a summer one, which probably didn't go quite according to plan. But Rovers aren't exactly awash with money, are they? Really? No. So
no, I think it needs time.
It's what's available and who's prepared to come to a club like Rovers, who are a top half League Two side at the moment. So it might not be a great draw for any agent to sort of pull the clients to. But no, I think McSheffrey, I think he will get it right. I mean, like I said to you yesterday, following relegation, I mean, you can't expect to go straight back up.
No.
I mean, there's no, how can I put it? Rovers haven't got a divine right to get promoted again.
No, and no team has, mate. You've got to earn that.
Yeah, and I think a top half finish would be a reasonably successful season, especially following the trauma and the turmoil of last season. So
I agree to a certain extent with that. The frustration is that the hierarchy and members of the team from the club have come out and said that the target and the goal is promotion. As soon as you put that there, you're then a target to be shot at as soon as you start underachieving. And I don't know if they've said it to try and show that they've got ambition and to try and keep people happy, but then they're actually wanting to make sure that they consolidate, because like my brother said in the vlog yesterday, at times last season, we seriously thought that we could have followed Scunny and Oldham and just dropped straight down into non-league because it was that poor last season. Yeah. So to consolidate, I think that'd be the smarter thing. But with the club saying that the goal was promotion, then they're kind of setting themselves up that's the expectation. I will catch up with a couple of comments before they fly off. I've got Liam Martin asking if I saw my comment above. Here it is. So running for Plymouth is MK Dons away, Bristol Rovers away, Shrewsbury at home, Exeter at home, Lincoln away, Burton away, Port Vale at home, Cambridge away, Morecambe at home, Cheltenham away. That run is very good for us to win. I'd agree. There's winnable games in there for sure. I think you'd be expecting 24 points at minimum.
probably 7 wins out of those 10 games.
Yeah.
But there's no easy games in any league in the EFL. And we've seen this weekend there's been a lot of surprise results. So I think Argyle might be on the wrong end of one or two of them.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's the thing. Going into those games expecting to win will end up biting you in the backside, won't it?
Yeah.
Amadeus as well. South Yorkshire teams having drama with managers the last 2 weeks. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, never an easy day as a South Yorkshire fan. And then he said that the problems run deeper than McSheffrey. I've got to agree with that, because we've had 2 or 3 managers now where it's just not worked. You look at Andy Butler, Richie Wellens, and now Gary McSheffrey. Richie Wellens is showing that he can do it at Leyton Orient. Andy Butler, obviously, he's shown that he's got ability, but at a different level. They can't all be poor managers, surely. There's something running deeper, I think. Talking about Richie Wellens and Leyton Orient, that leads me on to this weekend's game, and I think we robbed a draw here. To be fair, I don't know if you agree with me, Ian, but I think the stats don't tell the full story. 62% possession for Leyton Orient, 38 for us. It felt like much more. I think of a wider gap.
If they'd have done the stats at like 60 minutes on the hour, I think it'd have been far more than 67%. I think it'd be more like 80%. But Rovers, I mean,
in the first half, I thought it was 90-10 in Leyton Orient's favour. They absolutely battered us. We were chasing shadows for the first 45 minutes. I don't think we had a shot at target or at goal in the first 45 minutes. McSheffrey's brought 3 subs on at half time, and that's, again, like I said earlier in the stream, he sets up teams tactically for a game at the start, and then he's making far too many changes. So that's put question marks over his head, because then when he changes it to what the majority of fans have said he should have gone with from minute 1, we tend to play much better football. And I think the second half was an improvement, a minor improvement. It wasn't massive, but I think we deserved a goal from the second half display, in my opinion. But I just think that first half display, we deserved to be 3 or 4 down. But luckily for us, we were only down 1-0 at half time to an absolutely worldy of a goal from Paul. Is it Smythe or Smith? Which one are we going with?
I think it's Smith. I think it's pronounced Smith. But we're a worldie. Having said that, for all the possession, for all the first half possession, and probably the first 15 minutes of the second half, how many clear-cut chances did Orient make? Not very many.
No.
Not very. I mean, yes, there were 1 or 2. There were one before they scored that just rolled past the post, shot from outside the box. But there weren't a lot of clear-cut opportunities. And I think Rovers, in the second half, after they made the substitution, deserved a lot of credit, because I felt really sorry for Kieran Agard first half, because he's about 5'8", and he was never getting a kick. I mean, did you see the size of their 2 centre halves? They were absolutely huge. I mean, that Omar Beckles is about 6'6". Yeah. You know, they're number 19. What a unit! Yeah. But you can't expect
Agard was just feeding on scraps in that first 45 as well, wasn't he?
But he got taken off. So therefore, he's going to feel in his own mind, I failed. But really, if he had a George Miller type at the side of it, he'd have probably done a lot better.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But for this one, I think it's kept McSheffrey in a job for another week. I think the board have got to take note in terms of kind of the performance that we saw in the first half, and be asking questions on that, because like I say, if we saw the performance level that we saw in the second half consistently, I don't think we'd be having these conversations about if McSheffrey is the right man for the job. I think if we saw those performance levels and we were losing games narrowly, I think that'd be more accepted than playing poorly and scraping wins. I think we feel, or the fans that I've spoken to feel like we're in a false position and that we should be much lower down because of how lucky we've been in a number of games. But sod it, I'll take the luck and I'll take the points.
Absolutely.
So jumping around League Two, I I'm conscious that we're at about 35 minutes now and we've still got League One to go through. You wanted to talk about Bradford Stockport. That one is there. So the floor is all yours, Ian.
Another Cooper buster, because Bradford unbeaten at home, Stockport hadn't won away, but Stockport absolutely mullered them. I mean, look at the stats. I mean, Stockport are a far better team than the league position suggests. If you look at that squad, it's pushing for playoffs at least squad. They've got Sarkovic, they've got Paddy Madden, they've got one or two, and they've got a hell of a lot of experience, EFL experience in that side for a club that's just gone out of the National League. And if Challoner can put a run together, it's still not too late to get back up into the towards the playoff spots. A very good side that's probably lost the way a little bit, but this result will help enormously.
Yeah,
and Bradford,
it's still early days, isn't it?
Yeah, probably an off day for Bradford, but every club has them. Yeah. I mean, but it looked 1-0 massacre. It does look like a comfortable win for Stockport.
Yeah, and this was, like you say, it was a coupon buster. It was probably one of the more unlikely results of the day. Bradford had an unbeaten record at home. Stockport were yet to win away from home in the league. So, it's one of those, isn't it? That's kind of written in the stars, a little bit like the Hartlepool Doncaster game midweek, where sometimes you have teams who like giving gifts, and this was one of them. I think, like I say, Bradford had an off day. Stockport turned up and deserved their 1-0 win. The last game that we're going to touch on in League Two before we look at the table is Stevenage against Swindon. Genius from Rose to set the first goal up, and we both begrudgingly said Steve Evans was doing a good job before we came live. It's a frustrating thing to say, isn't it?
It is. I mean, he was very successful with us, but I never liked the man. I found his tactics abhorrent. I found his manner a little bit too brusque. But he's a successful manager, and he's proved that from Crawley to Rotherham. I think he did fairly well at Leeds before he was sacked. He didn't do quite as well at Mansfield, but at Stevenage, he's got them rocking. I mean,
it was all right at Gillingham as well. He made them tough to beat.
Yeah. And when you consider that Stevenage, for the last 2 seasons, have almost fallen out of the EFL altogether, to get on top of the table by the second week in October and absolutely flying win after win after win, home and away.
Yeah,
you've got to take your hat off to him. You have. He's recruited some really good players. I used to like Danny Rose when he was at Mansfield. I thought he was a decent striker there, and he's got youth. He's got experience.
Got a very good balanced squad.
They'll go very, very close this season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. 100% record at home at the minute, and they were just absolutely relentless in all departments there against Swindon. ATID has popped in the chat. It's natural for us to slap Ipswich and Sheff Wednesday and then get slapped by a pony team like Burton. So he's kind of agreeing with us that sometimes you can expect a result that you don't deserve, and you've got to literally turn up for every game and fight for every single point in the lower leagues, and that's why we love it. It's a winnable run of fixtures for Plymouth, but they've got to treat every single fixture with respect, or they will get stung by a team that they don't expect, and that's the problem. Look at Hartlepool against Doncaster midweek. I think that could be part of that. We probably went up to Hartlepool thinking they've not won a game in 20. We've already won this before we've even got on the pitch, and if that's the case, we deserved the 2-1 defeat. So looking at the table before we move on and finish in League One, Crawley Town currently rock bottom of the league, and Kevin Betsy relieved of his duties about an hour before we came live, and it's probably the right decision. I just don't think it's working there for Kevin. I mean, speaking to some of the Crawley fans a couple of weeks ago, they were saying that he's trying to play Premiership football tactics and playing out from the back and tiki-taka football, and he's just not got the players to play that standard of football, and they're just getting caught out far too many times. So I think it's a case of getting somebody in who knows this division and who knows how to grind results out to get them out of trouble this season. Rochdale, a good win for them. I believe it was a win.
Yeah, it were. Yeah, away win as well.
Yeah, good away win against Newport County. That's their second win of the season, which pulled them off of the bottom of the table. Harrogate looking in a bit of trouble. You were saying that yesterday, Ian.
Oh, Harrogate do look really, really poor. I mean, I saw them very early season against Crewe when they got battered 3-0, and they looked really dreadful that day. I mean, you talk about Rovers playing poorly, but the Harrogate they couldn't string two passes together that day. And Simon Weaver, who's still in a job, imagine his dad's the chairman, I think, at Harrogate.
Yeah, that might help.
So I'm not surprised. Yeah, it might help. But yeah, they're just going backwards, and I can see them being in the bottom two and probably returning to the National League. That's how poor I think they are.
Yeah,
I'd
agree with that.
If we're looking at League Two, I think a special mention has got to go to Grimsby, because coming out of the National League, they were expected to struggle, but they've had a very good start. I know it's only 11th, and
2 points off
only got the
first
first
game
home
in
win. That's right. Their away record's superb. They just got the first home win of the season yesterday. I think it was against Crawley, and I think Paul Hurst is doing a pretty good job there.
Yeah, it is. Stevenage, we've already mentioned those, gone top of the table after Leyton Orient slipping to a draw at Donny. Northampton dropping down to third. They stayed in third. And then the playoffs made up of Salford, Mansfield, Bradford and Carlisle, who are having a fantastic season. That's Doncaster's next trip on Saturday, a long old journey up to Carlisle to try and sneak into the playoffs. But this is where I become torn with Gary McSheffrey. We're joint points, kind of effectively in the playoffs, barring goal difference. It's a strange time to sack a manager. It's tough. I can understand why people want him gone, but at the same time, I think he does need that little bit of time to develop this team that is building. But I'm not on the board. I don't make the decisions, so we will just see what happens on that one.
I didn't realise that Carlisle had only lost one league game so far. I know they've drawn a lot, but that's fantastic for them. Paul Simpson,
very good start to the season for them.
Great.
So that is League Two and the Championship done. 42 minutes gone, so we will finish up on the on League One. Obviously, in Jake's absence, we've got Plymouth 2, Sheff Wednesday 1, and ATID stepped in for this one. Lovely stuff. So, a quick summary for us: two home games, two of the worst refs I've seen, excluding the Dope versus MK Dons last year. 6 points, average crowd at 15,000 home fans. It's fun being an Argyle fan for now, at least. So, a positive atmosphere around Home Park, and I think we've already mentioned this game that taking Bannon off just completely changed the game. But 24 shots, 8 on target for Plymouth. From the stats wise, it seems like Plymouth absolutely peppered them.
I would have loved to have gone to that match as a neutral, because it sounded like it was a fantastic game for a League One game. I mean, both decent quality clubs going for it, and it just fell in Argyle's favour. Yeah, but you can't knock Schumacher there. The job he's doing, it's just a case of keeping it up and not falling away like they did the back end of last season. Because it must have been heartbreaking on the final day, just not to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Amadeus in the chat, Darren Moore and his bizarre tactical choices again. As a Rovers fan, we've been through those. But he did say Plymouth were the better team, though. So Wednesday fan accepting that they were beaten by the better team, which is good. Also, a shout out to everyone involved in the Jack Leslie campaign as well. Finally got the cap he deserved. Yeah, fantastic that he's received that England cap well deserved. I think it was 1925 that he should have received that, but didn't because of the colour of his skin, effectively, which is not good, and it shows the progress that we are making, which is good. Taking Windass and Bannon off when we were chasing, it's such a strange decision, but it's one that he felt needed making, and he's paid the price for it. It is what it is. So we now move on to Saturday's result, which was much more positive for Sheffield Wednesday. And we'll touch on this one quick in Jake's absence, and Barry Bannon, an absolutely beautiful goal, wasn't it?
Oh, fantastic. Well, actually, 2 great strikes for the second and third goals and 2 good moves. Cheltenham had done really, really well, but going to Hillsborough with Wednesday in that kind of form is always a bit imposing, a bit. So really, it wasn't unexpected. Wednesday were expected to win that, and they won it comfortably. So, yeah, I mean, I know Darren Moore have got his distractors, but when you're supposed to beat a team this season, Wednesday are actually beating them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Plymouth game was a setback, but they bounced back really well.
Yeah, great response this weekend from the Owls. So, yeah, 3 points on the board. Darren Moore obviously listened to people and kept Bannon on for as long as possible, and he was rewarded with an absolute worldie of a strike late on. We will move quickly on to the Plymouth Accrington game, and we'll start with a double red card. We've already kind of touched upon it in the comments earlier. 50-50 challenge for me, and I think both should have received a yellow card at the most. I can understand the 2 reds.
I actually disagree.
We'll just get ATID in on the chat. He said about the statue, which looks brilliant. Accrington game, I cannot see how it's 2 reds and then a free kick for Argyle. Hopefully the appeal goes through, and Scar is a big loss. For me, I think the appeal should be for both players, in fairness. I don't think either should have got a red card. Committed challenge for both.
I don't think it was even a foul. I don't even think it was just 2 committed players going for the ball. I don't even think a foul should have been given. And the red cards, I think the referee panicked.
Yeah.
And what should I do here? I don't know. Absolutely not. They should have both stayed on the pitch. They were definitely not red cards. It was a strange decision, but that's what you get with EFL refs.
Yeah.
Well, you get it sometimes in the Premier League as well, but no, it was a daft decision. As for the game, comfortable for Plymouth.
Yeah.
Aki, I expected more of a fight from them, and more of a performance from them. I mean, yeah, fair enough, 11 shots, 3 on target, which isn't bad for an away side, but Argyle are really the real deal this season.
Yeah. This comment from ATID has just tickled me 1,000% here. And referee didn't know the difference between Shrove Tuesday and Sheffield Wednesday.
That's a good one, that.
I like that. But yeah, Sam Cosgrove scoring again, as ATID said earlier in the chat, is better than Haaland. Still not going to go quite as far as that. And now he's saying that Accrington fought hard, dirty team, but we matched them. I think that's what you get with Accrington. They're a tough team, and you're going to be in an absolute battle every single game that you play against Accrington. Used to hate playing them. We never got anything really from what I can remember.
They're a very, very, very difficult team to play against. I mean, that's a label that's always levelled at Rotherham, that we're a physical team. But we're not a physical team when you compare us to teams like Aki.
Yeah.
Because Aki do. I mean, and they can practice the dark arts as well. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Thing is, though, on the day as well, they can play some really nice football.
Yeah, they can.
They're one of those teams that I hate coming up against, because you're going to be in a battle, but they've got potential of ripping you to pieces as well. Decent League One team for sure. So a very good result for Plymouth there, which keeps their superb start ticking over nicely. We'll touch on Barnsley Exeter. Obviously, I thought Exeter may have had a little bit of a hangover after losing Matt Taylor to Rotherham, but and going up against Barnsley as well, who are doing well this season. But Jay Stansfield got a brace, and it was decent result for them, really.
That's another Colton buster, because Barnsley were flying. You've got to take your hat off to Exeter, going to Oakwell and comfortably beating the home side. Yeah, excellent result for them. And it probably puts the caretaker manager in pole position to get the job.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And that result puts them in touching distance of the playoffs. We will check the table in a second, but we have got one more game that we're wanting to touch on in League One, and that was Forest Green against Bolton. Ian, you want to say a few words about this one, so you can finish us off before we have a look at the table.
Yeah, fancy a team like Forest Green that had not won in ages beating the best team in League One. Who saw that coming? Everett, actually, he's got a good squad there. He's got a good team there. We'll probably finish in the top 6. But you can't get complacent when you go into teams that are fighting against the drop. But as Amadeus has just put on the comments, it's a typical League One result. And I think the whole
ATID didn't know that we were heading this way. Can we please mention how on earth Forest Green beat Bolton, the worst team I've ever seen, getting a result like that cannot be ignored. We do try to touch on as many games as we can.
We do. Yeah, incredible. I just don't know where that came from at all. Honestly.
Connor Wickham at this level, though, if he stays fit, I think he'll get some goals for them. Yeah, probably so. But I never saw that one coming. But like I said, the entire EFL fixture list were littered with results like this. If anybody won a bet yesterday on an accumulator, I'd like to shake their hands. Honestly, in my accumulator, I may as well have gone for the complete opposite to what I put on, because I think I went with every single coupon buster yesterday.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with betting. Don't bet, kids. There's only one winner, and that's the bookie.
Yeah.
So to finish off, we will have a quick look at the table. Bottom 4, Morecambe, rooted at the bottom on 7 points. They have got a game in hand over Burton, who have had a little bit of a turnaround under Dino Maria. It's getting slightly better, but still worries for them down towards the bottom end of the table. MK Dons slip into the bottom 4. Slight worries for them at the minute. It's just not quite working after losing some of their key players. Harry Darling, Parrott, the other guy's name's gone to Burnley.
It's gone from me, Yeah.
Help us out in the comments. It'll come to us probably at 3 o'clock in the morning. Forest Green make up the bottom 4. Oxford just outside of that as well.
Actually, the demise of Oxford's very surprising to me, because last season they looked a really good side. And they've still got Bradigan, Taylor. They've still got the nucleus of the same side. Something's going wrong there. Yeah,
it's not looking good for them, is it? A good result for Bristol Rovers this weekend pulls them away from the bottom 4. They're now on 12 points. Moving up towards the top end of the table, so Plymouth flying high, top of the table, 31 points. As Scott Twine, there we go. Thank you, ATID. I knew there'd be somebody who'd sort us out. So table looks good for now. Buzzing for MK on Saturday, but another banana in. Great stream. See you next week. You will do indeed. Scott Twine was the MK player. Lovely stuff. Ipswich in second on 30 points, and then the playoffs: Sheff Wednesday, Portsmouth, Barnsley, and Bolton. Peterborough just outside, Exeter just outside as well. A great result for them. Paul Warne at Derby tasted his first defeat this weekend, and they're some way outside of the playoffs at the minute, but I think he'll
turn it round.
Yeah,
he'll turn it round. Yeah, I think the red card.
You can't forget a player who puts 4 past you. No, you can't, unfortunately.
I think Collins getting a red card for Derby. I think that contributed to the defeat.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But that is the League One table, and that is us done for this evening. Before we go, ATID used us as a training game, but yeah, cheers lads. No, thank you for sticking around in the stream. Thank you for commenting and contributing to the stream. It does make a big difference. All the comments coming in, it gives us something else to talk about. And you guys all know your clubs much better than what we do. We know football. We enjoy talking about football, but ultimately, you know your team. You've seen the games, so we do like to get your feedback on them as well, because we only know so much. We normally talk a lot of rubbish, to be fair.
I'd like to apologise for the technical difficulty. It's probably these headphones, which I don't think I'll be using again.
Not to worry, mate. I don't think anybody noticed. We're all right.
I'm sure they do.
But no, that's where we will leave this one. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for sticking around and talking football with us this evening. In the future, please do retweet it, get it out there so more people can jump on and enjoy it like you guys do as well. #72review is where it's at. So yeah, all that's left for me to say is, if you're watching this on repeat, stick a big thumbs up for us, please. Comments in the section down below. We will reply to them during the week. If you haven't already, please subscribe to me, subscribe to Over the Bar, and also Pump Chef 41, who will be back hopefully next week. But yeah, all that's left for me to say is thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.